Blackboard page. Okay, so we'll just go around and everyone just introduce yourself, what program you're in, and something interesting about yourself.
Lee Layton, doing the Network Enterprise Administrator program, Cohort 2. And interesting, really enjoyed watching Avengers Age of Ultron last night. Bought that on Voodoo and stayed up too late watching it.
Sarah, Pathways through Network Specialist program. So I've been dabbling with this off and on for a while. We share fundamentals class on Wednesday.
That can't be your favorite. That can't be your.
No, I can't think of anything else.
There you go.
I recognized you, so I was like.
You know what's strange is your friend is sitting like right up there too.
Yeah, she's
so
waiting for our ride, so it's like.
So I saw her, I'm like, hey, I recognize you from class, and then you, I'm like,
yeah.
what the
What's
heck?
going on?
So we were sitting out there talking about the project, and then I came in here, and then you showed up, and it's like, it's Wednesday class on Monday. And movies, we were watching Blood Lake last night, so.
What's Blood Lake?
With Christopher Lloyd, like these eel-like creatures come out of the lake and suck everyone's brains and bloods out and everything like that. So we were watching that last night.
All right.
From time to time, especially with all the souped-up chemicals in the lake and everything, it's going to turn the eels into monsters at some point.
I'm Steve Larson. I'm in the networking diploma program where it's enterprise technician, and then there's another one, and then there's a 37 credit one. That's the one that I'm in. The interesting thing, does it have to be a movie?
No.
You just see them run.
No.
So I got a call today from a customer saying that they were down, and I could see on a remote tool that they'd been down by 11. Got you, they called, of course, at 3:45. The owners are in Las Vegas at some expo, and I didn't ask what it was. I'm just kind of, because they run a legitimate business, but they're also, you know, bikers and all kinds of stuff. So I didn't ask, but they're at some expo. So they're like, can you go there? And you got to make sure that everything's good, you know. So I created a ticket. I emailed the owner, you know, are you actually asking us to go on site? Because we're going to bill them for it, you know. I can't go. So I get there, and I'm expecting something. And in troubleshooting between 11 and 3, whenever they called us, somebody unplugged their switch. So I literally went in, plugged their switch in, bing, 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 things started happening again. I kind of talked to them and stuff. So, but, you know, I'll take an easy one every once in a while, because there are plenty of them where it's like, well, we just went from AT&T to Time Warner Cable, and now we can't do this or do that. So that's my story. Plugged in a switch. Take it.
I'm Andrew, sir. I'm in the Network Specialist program, as you can see. I guess something interesting about me, I've been in computers my entire life, everything from help desk to networking to imaging, a ton of different stuff. So, a little of everything kind of thrown into a bunch. So, we'll get the books distributed at the end of the session. We'll write down the number of the book, because there's 10 books that we have. It says like 1 of 10, 2 of 10 on the books. So we'll just write down the number, try not to pull the label off. So then we know that your individual book got returned. All right, so the structure of this study group is following the book. So I include the key points of the book in these sessions that I deem to be the most important. So it doesn't include everything because it's a lot of content. It's crammed into, I mean, it's a book that's pretty thick. So these charts between this one and the next one show what is contained on each of the exams. So I mean, you know, PC hardware, that's just your physical hardware, everything in it. pretty low-level stuff that will take a while, but, I mean, yeah. Networking, there's some subnetting in there. If you haven't touched on that a little bit, we'll get to that. But we're not going to get into how to subnet because that'll take a while. And laptops and printers, that's just primarily, this is what's different with laptops versus what you would normally see in a desktop. So like the type of RAM they put in it would be different than what you would have in a desktop. And then operational procedures is just best practices, the way you do things in certain situations. Questions before I... Nope? Okay. It's just a giant list of things that you'll need to know. That's in the book. I'm not going to read them all off. But this one makes me laugh. Floppy drives. Yeah, it's in there. It's on the exam. But it's out there every once in a while. The one thing that tripped me up when I first did it was optical drives. Anyone know what an optical drive is?
CDs.
There. See? I'm like, what the heck is an optical drive? It's like, everyone says CD drive. Well, it's not a CD drive. It can play more than CDs. And then this is the second one, practical application. I personally think this one is a little more difficult than the essentials, because essentials is just how things work, procedures of doing things, but this is in the real world. This is how you handle this issue or this issue. So mobile devices are pretty limited, but it sticks primarily to Android and iOS, but it's really lightweight, as it kind of shows. It doesn't touch on it too much, so you don't have to worry about that a lot. As far as operating systems go, it focuses on Windows. I mean, almost all Windows, so if you don't know anything else, that's fine, because you won't. Okay. Some people don't know this, and it really shocks me when they don't, but the dress attire, like for example today I'm wearing a button down, but that's not because I take myself too seriously. It's actually because I had an interview today. However, it's just, you know, basic stuff. You want to make sure that you stick out so that you can be that that tech that sticks out, that people say, yeah, that guy looks very professional. He looks like he's set to go, you know, et cetera, what you would associate with it. You know, appropriately dressed employee. Okay, something that I put in one of my tests that you'll need to know, because I kind of had fun with some of mine. Honesty, integrity, kind of blend together commonly. When people say you're honest or you have integrity, they're very, very close as far as the book goes over it. It's like a sentence thing. Doing the right thing versus telling the truth and being known to tell the truth, so people actually believe you. And then, I mean, you guys can read. You know, I'm not going to drone on for this 2 hours on things that you could easily read. Sensitivity, though, I will touch on. When you're approaching people and helping them out with their problems, you have to kind of feel the situation, how they're feeling about the problem. I mean, it's usually not that hard to do because they're usually pretty mad about it or kind of distraught about it. But you just have to kind of get a feel for how to handle the specific situation, and it's something that comes with practice. You know, so what the heck did you do? Doesn't work. And then just ways to talk to people without making them feel like you're accusing them of why the problem occurred in the first place. You know, so you always start with, okay, maybe it's something else that just is coincident when you were doing this thing. You know, or what happened, like what are you normally doing when this happens or something like that is usually the best ways. Yeah, so kind of what I just said, has anything changed? Does it happen when you do a certain thing, etc. People really love time frame. It really gives them, it just makes them feel better, even if it's like a really big timeline for something that'll only take like 15 minutes, because you don't want to tell them 15 minutes, and then it takes half an hour, then they're mad at you for telling them that it would take 15 minutes. So always give yourself a little buffer room, just in case. You don't want to be like telling them it's going to take an hour, because that's not good either. But that's another thing you just kind of get a feel for. And as you have more experience, you'll take a gauge for how long things will take. Electrostatic discharge. Okay, best example, like when you're walking up to a door and your hand gets shocked when you go up to the door, that's electrostatic discharge. And it's something to be avoided at all costs when you're working on computers, because it can fry components inside of it, very expensive ones at that. So the way that we avoid that is by having anti-static wrist straps, and literally all it is a strap that goes around your wrist, and it has a metal contact that goes on your wrist, and a little swirly cable and a metal clamp on the end that you clamp on to the PC. And that keeps what they call potential between you and the PC equal, so that when you're not touching it versus when you're touching it, it doesn't make a difference, because you're equal with the machine itself. So you avoid that ever happening. A lot of people skip on this, and it's a really stupid mistake for something that's really easy to solve. Another thing is anti-static mats. I don't know if anyone's ever seen those, but they're little rubber mats, usually about this big, and you plug anti-static wrist straps into like a little snap button kind of thing on it, and the potential actually stays between the mat and the computer. This is actually really nice because when you have components laid out, if you're trying to build a PC or you're reinstalling components because one might have failed or something, it's nice to have that mat, because then they're all laid out and you can have them all have the same potential without worrying about transferring between the component that's sitting somewhere else that could possibly have ESD in it. I can't stress this enough. Putting things on top of the anti-static bag doesn't do anything. It actually makes it worse, because the whole point of the bag is, think of it kind of like a raincoat. When the raindrops hit your coat, they bounce for a second, and they stay off the surface of your coat, ideally, if you have a good coat. Kind of the same principle. It keeps electrostatic out, and putting your components on top of it just makes all of that, go into it. It doesn't help. So, questions so far? Too fast? Too slow? Okay. This is way less common, but it happens as well. Electromagnetic interference. This happens with magnets. So if you take magnets and you put it near components on your machine, that can damage them. You can actually, if you have a powerful enough magnet, you can wipe a hard drive. It's not like a magnet you can buy at Michael's. You have to buy a big magnet. Yeah, you have to be very serious about it.
Farm magnets for the cows will do it too.
Yep. Magnet you make the cow swallow, and yeah, something like that. RFI, I've had this happen numerous times, and my dad has told me multiple stories because he works in IT as well, where people are on the Wi-Fi at work, and they're doing work or whatever, and someone's on their lunch break, and they turn on the microwave to warm up their food, and it drops their wireless connection. Yeah, you laugh, but as soon as you're the one that's working and it gets dropped, it won't be. I've had it happen at home. It really depends on like the actual rooms around the microwave and the wireless access point, which is abbreviated as WAP. You'll sometimes see that. So that's another thing you'll need to know about wireless, which is in later chapters, is that the reason sometimes you get better signal and worse signal is because the wireless signal has to pass through your environment. If there's walls in the way, it makes it weaker, and especially if you have like a business environment, a lot of times there's actually metal in the walls. So you have to keep that in mind when you're designing your environment. In the case of a home, it's usually not a huge worry because your home isn't that big, unless you're loaded. They had a picture in the book. I didn't include it, but basically it's just keep your things neat so people don't trip and get hurt, and then you get lawsuits and all this fun stuff that you don't want to go through, and you could just put a Velcro tie around it and solve your problem. I don't have this much stuff. I have a flathead screwdriver and a screwdriver that is exchangeable bits. That's all I've ever needed. Sometimes a screwdriver that's a little smaller head, but never this much. I'll just be honest. And I don't think they're going to test you on that. These are things that I carry around. Not the power drill unless I know I'm going to need it, but all the other things I do. You'd be surprised how often the Ethernet cable comes in handy. Every once in a while, wireless isn't working. You're just like, oh, hey, I already have this giant, long Ethernet cable. I can just use it right now. I have basically a disk holder full of every operating system I've ever used, and it's overflowing because it has so many in it. And this is...
So you would just reload the operating system and you'd get the key off the PC and stuff like that? Like
other order.
What's that?
Key first, operating system next.
But, so you'd like use something to get the key, like an application?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What about like reading it like off the actual PC and stuff?
There's one... She said it, Belarc. Belarc Advisor is the name of the software.
There's several ones that I think
Yeah.
Jelly Bean does the same.
There's another one, Magic Jelly Bean. Yeah.
But that's what you use first, getting it like off the side of the...
No.
If it's not on the side,
Right.
like if you, like a lot of times I have my laptop, which is not working right now, doesn't have the operating system it came with it on it, so the tag actually isn't relevant.
Okay, I see what you're
So I would have to pull it off using that. Like if someone upgrades, sometimes the license key is different, so it's not the same as what's on it.
Or even retrograde, hey, like Windows 10 and Windows 7.
Yeah.
Maybe drives or something, possibly also.
Cool.
A lot of this stuff it seems really basic, and it is. But the problem isn't that it's easy to remember. The problem is remembering the official terminology for everything. So it's not called a PC, it's called a system unit. It's stupid things like this that trip you up on the exam. It's never as bad as like the Cisco exams are. They're never that bad. They don't try to trick you with different word combinations or anything like that. They simply try to test you for official terms, and they'll give you situations like, Bob is having a problem with his printer where it's only printing black ink and no color. What would you do? Something like that.
So system unit, they're called. Okay.
Yeah, system unit. There's some things that just make me laugh. In case you've never seen the back of a computer.
Don't they mean
This is
backports
it.
on a system unit?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's nice.
Okay, I didn't even know this one when I first took it. But the difference between port, jack, plug, and connector. Connector describes the port or jack. The plugs are things you plug in, so that can help you remember. and then the ports are just where you plug things in, or the jacks are basically different connectors. They're kind of interchangeable. That's why there's a slash on this slide. These are old, and I should have included a picture because these are actually really, really old. You probably haven't seen them. The picture is in the book. Once again, it's the official terminology. You don't have to remember this,
Okay.
but I put it there. You just have to remember
It was
DIN.
a larger round.
Oh.
It
Yeah,
had a
it's-
little dimple on one side as a key.
Yeah, it has
Okay.
like 6 pins. It's a giant round thing. I have a little dongle for it because nobody has those keyboards anymore.
Kind of shaped like that, and it had the pins around the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Oh,
Let me see if I could find it. 'Cause
Were they called like AT connectors at one time? Like you're talking, I mean, it kind of looks like just a larger PS2 connector.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's it right there.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Oh.
Yeah, nobody has those anymore. They've been replaced later on by
Top right there, yeah.
look like these. This one here. So you'll see them in purple and green for keyboard and mouse. Purple being keyboard, green being mouse. And all you need to remember is mini DIN and DIN. Mini DIN is the same thing as PS2. So most people refer to it as PS2, not DIN 6 or DIN or mini DIN. Nobody uses DIN anymore. Mostly what you need to know is that they're used for keyboards and mice, and that's pretty much it, because they're being replaced by USB at this point.
You have to find a whole lot of PS2.
Yeah, you don't really find PS2 ones anymore. I mean, you'll see them, but you won't buy them. But they still make adapters in case you don't have any available ports, or you have USB. Usually, it's just because the USB aren't available, or if the USB isn't working. So sometimes when the BIOS will get a little weird. I'll explain that later. It'll get a little funky, and the keyboard will momentarily only work with the DIN connector on the back. I don't know why, honestly, to this day. Okay, you will need to know these though. USB-A, that's this connector. That's literally all it is. And that's the only USB variation that is A. There's no mini A, micro B, or micro A, I should say. This one you've probably seen with either external hard drives or printers. So it's called USB-B. And then this is mini B, which has been replaced by micro B, which is what you'll see on like mobile phones and Raspberry Pis, stuff like that. But this was common about 8 years ago. MP3 players, cameras use this. Some cameras still do. Because there's nothing wrong with it. It still works. So this is the micro B connector that you'll see on Android phones, newer phones, pretty much anything but iOS. This was created by Apple. IEEE i394, generally used for digital cameras, video recorders. It's been around forever, and it's really, really, really fast. But barely anything uses it. They still build it into machines, but you almost never see it. It doesn't really make sense to me because it's very fast. Yeah, these you won't really see anymore. Yeah, commonly used for printers. I have never seen one of these on keyboards. and I'm 21. There's no way. So sorry.
No, it's just except for keyboards. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, most people will just refer to them as DBs if you ever hear someone feel the need to reference these. It's things like this that makes me laugh. No, that's not what I meant to do. Okay. Other way. There we go. RJ connectors. I'm sure you've learned about these in some of your other classes. RJ11 is the thin phone cable. You'll commonly see it in 3 or 2 pin connection types, but the 2 pin is only used for telephone, not dial-up. So you have to make sure to keep that distinction. And that's another thing I think also in this session that we'll go over is the type of CAT standard cables. And then RJ45 is the current internet or Ethernet cable that are interchangeably referenced. They're known as 1/8 plug connectors, but everyone just knows them as headphone jacks. So I would probably know it, but I don't think they're going to test you on it. Next. Keyboards, yeah, we kind of talked about that. Mini DIN or USB-A to connect. And they usually come with an adapter. Okay. So VGA is kind of being sourced out by DVI and HDMI now. It used to be the most popular video option. Now it's not because it doesn't perform as well, not even close to as well as DVI does, and not even close to as HDMI does, because HDMI actually does video and audio over the same cable, and it supports the most high quality video that currently exists. And it's really not that expensive to purchase. I mean, these cables are like $6 on mono price, if that. Okay, CPUs, the brain of your computer. It's really all you can really need to know. It does everything that your computer needs to function. So it does all the computing and operations inside. Central processing unit is never referenced unless someone asks or doesn't know what a CPU is. Heatsinks are put on top of CPUs with thermal paste as well, which I think is in one of the following slides. And that's just used to distribute the heat over a large area. So the CPUs are usually only about this big, and that's a lot of heat for a tiny area. I actually fried 2 of my high-performance gaming CPUs because my liquid cooler stopped working, and it got to 200 Celsius.
Does it start smoking or anything like that? No.
No.
Nothing?
Warning.
No,
Just stopped working?
It just stops working.
Just stopped?
It's not good. Okay. It's granted.
Sounds costly.
But don't even get me started. Don't even get me started on that.
Gaming units are generally more expensive.
It seemed like it was working on every aspect. The fan was spinning. The pump appeared to be working. I literally don't know why. I went through 2 of them before I figured it out. The first one was not under warranty. The second one was. So I was like, I don't know why it just failed, but it did.
All-in-one units or closed loop? All-in-one?
No. No, I.
Use a build your own custom loops?
Yeah, I built my own. I haven't touched it in a while because I've been busy with school, and I haven't had the funds to fix it. It's expensive. Probably about $1,000 I put into it. It's some serious power. It can run about anything. which was the idea. Okay, RAM. There's an extremely large portion in this book. There's actually an entire chapter dedicated to it. This first chapter is mostly introductory, kind of touching on things. So it stores programs and data currently being used by the CPU. It's much faster than the hard drive, so things that are currently being used gets moved there so that it can function faster. Modern PCs generally have, I argue, 2 or more, even though it says 1 to 4. So most computers will have 4 or more, unless they are netbooks, which are, you guys have seen those, right? You know, they're small, like barely have a keyboard, like little midget fingers to be able to use it. But they are kind of nice if you need something light and you're not doing anything intensive. So they refer to each piece of RAM as a stick, and modern RAM is known as DIMMs, Dual Inline Memory Module. When you're in the field, people won't ask you what kind of DIMM you have. They'll just ask you what kind of RAM you have, because RAM encompasses every single type of RAM there is. All right. Motherboard, everything plugs into the motherboard, everything from your CPU to your hard drive. All the ports on the back are directly soldered in, and the expansion ports, which are right here. That's another chapter in the 3rd week. We'll go over that. And then the RAM modules go right here. And I'll actually bring in some physical hardware when we get to that chapter. So I have some older ones that still have modern hardware on them that I have no use for. So I don't feel heartbroken if I drop it on the way here and it breaks. Power supply. These are about this big, generally, and as the name implies, it powers everything inside the computer. And there's even little testers you can buy for like $5, and you plug them into your power supply to test the continuity and the amount of power that it's pushing out.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Are these just electrical testers, or are these like power supply testers?
They're power supply testers.
Are they really? Never even heard of them.
Yeah, they
Okay.
have. They're usually in a little box, probably about this big, maybe this thick, and they have the exact same connector that's on the motherboard and connectors that go into the hard drive. So you take the cables and you just plug it in, and it gives you a little. It has a little LCD on it, and it'll tell you if it's good or bad and like what is wrong with it.
Very nice.
The lower end ones just have a green or red light that tell you if it's bad, and that's usually all you need is a green or red light, because you don't ever open up a power supply to like see what's wrong with it. It either works or it doesn't. So you usually just replace it if it stops working. Once again, I kind of laugh at this, but floppy drives, I say back in the day, but I'm the youngest person in the room.
My mother's computer still has one.
I have one. I saved it. There's always a good reason for that. There's only one, but there's one. They used to be used in the tech world for flashing BIOS, which is software on your PC that boots up your computer before your operating system boots. So it does various checks on your machine and makes sure that everything is in good and working order. Some things it will let the PC boot up regardless of if it is wrong. Some things it will stop the boot. So for example, 2 of the things that it checks is the video working properly, is the keyboard working properly, and about the CPU, the RAM, and other critical modules. So if the keyboard isn't working, it lets it go. If the video isn't working, depending on the motherboard, it might let it go. It depends. I have a server at home. It doesn't care. It's newer. I have an older computer at home. It hates it when there's not a video card plugged in. So,
Does it do file peeps for video?
yeah, it's really annoying. So I left the card in. The reason I wanted to take it out is because the card was extremely loud. It's like this loud whining noise. So I didn't care about the card because I wasn't ever going to use it again. So I did is I just unplugged the fan in the video card, which would fry the video card. It would literally make the thing melt. But I wanted it to shut up, and I didn't want to use... It was so old, I couldn't put in one of my newer cards to make it be quiet. So I just unplugged the cable, just... See, problem solved. It's like one of my previous jobs. We had a battery backup in one of our server rooms, and it was perfectly fine. We returned it to the manufacturer twice because the light kept coming on saying that the battery was bad. Tested the battery ourselves, sent it to them 3 separate times, and eventually we're just like electrical tape right over it. We're like clearly something is not right here. We're just gonna
Cover it.
no, we tested it, so we know it works. But we just made it go away. So what's the point, you know? Alright. Hard drives. Pretty, I think everyone knows what those are. Holds everything that's on your machine. You'll need to know these two official terms, PATA and SATA. The cables that attach to PATA drives are also known as IDE cables, and that's the one that's on the right. It's a thin ribbon cable. And the one on the left is SATA, which is a newer technology that covers all of that. Anywhere from 80 gigs to 4 terabytes is common. Yep. And I doubt you'll need to know every single one of those kinds, but you should know that there are minus R's, plus R's, minus RW's, and plus RW's. And everyone knows what a CD and DVD is, so it's pretty easy to remember if you can remember those. Blu-ray most likely won't be in there. And that is actually the whole thing. I thought that would take a lot longer. Okay. Any questions?
How technical does the test get with knowing, I mean, you pointed out on some slides what terms to know and stuff. Does it get much more technical than that, or does it pretty much stick to the common terms?
It gets into some weird things that you wouldn't expect to see, but you do end up seeing anyway. So why don't we do one of the tests that I made up? And it's not available because I didn't make it available. I'll just go like this. Now I generally have about 12 questions per test because it takes me a while to make these presentations. And by the time I'm done with 3 chapters of it, I'm really fed up with it.
Well, that's all right. So on Blackboard, we can log in on Blackboard. We can see this. We'll see these tests and things.
Yep. So
Very cool.
The way it'll look. So you start out here, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go to the top right to My Clubs, and then you look for IT program students. You click there, and you'll end up here. And I'll turn off edit mode so it looks exactly the way you'll see it. Go into A+ Cert study group, which is at the bottom, and you'll get here. So I'll post everything here that we go over in here, and also post tests here, and links to what we do here in case you want to go through it. I'm available via email, or I'll also be checking this discussion board. Email is more reliable. So all the PowerPoints will be inside here. So far I only have that one, but I have them where they automatically upload. after each one. And then in case you get sick, just head in here, and this link will go directly to whatever is currently streaming. So, no worries. Okay. So let's do one of these just to pass through. And I'm not going to help you. You get to do it. Okay. We didn't go over this yet, so I will take pity. I'll take pity. All right. We did go over this stuff, though. Okay. I should have fixed this one, but basically it's either 802 or 801.
801.
Let's say 801.
Mm-hmm.
I really only do 3 questions.
You know one. What is it?
Yes, sure.
Cities,
Maps and printers tools.
is it two?
Trust in 0. Remember, the first exam is essentials. The second exam is practical application. So it's kind of like practices is the second one. First one is like physical raw information.
Well, troubleshooting definitely would be 802. Just trying to eliminate maybe some of the ones we know. I'm going to say security is 802 too. That kind of sounds like an 802 kind of subject. Second test.
Well, both of those, this was on 802. Is that H? D?
It should let you to repeat
Operating
them.
systems.
I don't remember the answers, by the way, for this one. Because obviously it won't be on the exam. What's on the exam? Well, I repeated D for some reason, because I was looking for...
Well, it looks like for each one you got an A, B, and then
I
two choices. for
it
each
should
one.
let you repeat them.
It shouldn't?
It should.
Oh, okay.
It should. If it doesn't, then not a big deal, because I'm taking it.
I think they're both 801. Those are the two we got left, too. Operational procedures.
These are still double.
That's okay.
Here, we'll just go see how we did.
Let's see how we
I know the first 2 are right. I don't know about how the second one will grade it.
20 out of 30.
I hate myself. Because of the way I set it up, it doesn't tell you. Okay, so for the benefit of everyone, I'll bring up the answers. Okay, I see what I should have done is use only 2 options, and then you just select. That was real original. I just did it in order. So, questions? Anything further?
Do they have like a practice test thing? Like, do they like
In the book.
in
They
the book?
do. They do.
Okay.
Here,
And we
everyone
had-
grab a book. We'll show you.
And through the class, we have like a subscription to it that we can utilize it.
No, it's text in the book.
Okay.
I mean, it's physically at the end of each chapter. So,
Is there an overall, like, practice
page 15. I will put that up there. I'll take the literal
Okay.
questions that I have from the version that comes with the CD,
Mm-hmm.
which took me a long time to make because it's an hour-long
Should we bother
practice
using the
exam.
CD at all?
If you do have it, it's in the back.
But
Did
is
you-
it worth our time,
Yes.
you think? Okay.
Yeah, I would. I would.
So we can open that.
Yes, you can. Just don't forget to put it back.
Well, we were returning them, so I wasn't sure how much we were allowed to open.
No, you can open it. That's not a big deal. So, yeah, I would highly advise going through these questions whenever you finish the chapter.
Okay.
They're usually not very long, and they give you the answers, so it's not. They're not that difficult. I mean, usually they're pretty straightforward. Some of them are kind of odd. They'll test you on, well, what percent is the practice questions. It obviously won't be on the test, but it's just kind of vague, just so you know what's on it.
So the CD that's in the back is similar to how the test is
Yes.
done.
Yes, it is very, very similar.
electronically.
Yes. It's very, very similar. There are like 3 or 4 variations of the 3 or 4 variations of the final in the CD. So it's questions that you will most likely see. They're usually not exact questions, but they are, if you can pass those, you can generally pass the exam. So you can go through those as many times as you want, but you're not going to be able to pass it until you get all the way through the book, because those are tests that include the entire exam. They don't have chapter exams on that disc. They used to. They don't anymore. Let me see if there's anything I didn't include. Oh, also, in your book, since you did get the CD, the CD comes with an e-version of the book. So if you would rather, like, put it on your laptop or whatever, and you would prefer to read it that way, you can do that. That's fine. I can't put it on Blackboard because distribution is illegal, and especially because it's in an educational environment. Mucho grande trouble. So yeah, you can kind of see how I summarize this based upon just flipping through it. So I'll have to be a little more detailed. So we're like an hour ahead.
I would expect these early chapters to be a little bit shorter. As we
Yeah.
get further into them, I'm sure we'll fill up the whole time.
So let me see, how long are my next ones? So my second week would be chapter 4, 5, and 6. And this one's 64 slides instead of 40. But still. Anyway,
Hey, Andrew, I gotta excuse myself, I'll be right back.
by all means, don't close the door because it'll lock behind you.
Okay.
Let me see if
Well,
there's...
there's really no practical on the exam, but you're able to bring a few things in when we get that far along.
Sorry?
The exam is just electronically.
Yes. Yeah, the exam is electronic.
You don't have to build a computer for the exam, to take the exam. No, it's all digital. You go to a testing facility that's official, and they'll have a basically, like, if you remember the compass that you took when you were getting admitted to here, it's kind of like that, Oh, okay.
basically. So you're just going question by question. It's all multiple choice. There isn't any short answer or anything. And you'll immediately know if you have it or not at the end of the test. It shoots out a printout, tells you your percentage, how you did on both parts of the exam, because it crams them into one exam when you're taking it. It doesn't like tell you are now starting practical application. It just has one big mass exam, and then the questions that are relevant to practical application will grade you on it. Yeah, I know, it's like you can't separate it and be like...
Yeah, actually I was looking at casual Ford versus professional Ford here.
Yeah, see? I told you. Some stuff that's kind of silly. So you can kind of see, like, on 28, it makes me laugh. The guy on the top.
Yeah. Saying in his face, why'd you do that?
Yeah.
There's a big pile of cords in here too.
Oh, I do it.
I've seen that plenty of times.
This one here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one behind my entertainment center.
But the difference is you're not walking behind your entertainment center.
Every time I get them bundled nice and neat, 2 weeks later I want to take something apart and try something different.
Hear you there.
That's where those Velcro strips come in real handy.
Yes.
System unit. Silly.
Still have a side panel off my PC.
Well, it's at the essentials class here, you had to build a computer practically, so it's like, wait, where does this wire go again?
That's one of those fun things.
Not too bad.
Well, that's
one of
something...
the funner classes here.
Usually only one spot for me, but for the most part. Not entirely true, but
So there's some stuff I did cut out. eSATA is one of those things. Modems I cut out of the slide. You'll probably see that on there. If it's in the book, you'll most likely see it. But I probably don't have to explain modems. eSATA is a... eSATA is a newer technology that's used for optical drives and hard drives. It's really, really new. I've been seeing more and more of the parts on laptops lately. But more often, I've seen the actual ports being used in the corporate environment. But I mean, there's no reason why you can't have a hard drive that has eSATA, at home. It's just uncommon because everyone has a USB port. Not everyone has eSATA. That's why you generally only see USB. Page 63 makes me kind of laugh too. It says, opening a case is always interesting. There is no standard way to open a case because they never made it a standard. So every manufacturer can make the case the way they want, which is kind of cool because you can get a pretty cool case.
Oh, yeah.
But when you, it's like a little jigsaw puzzle if you have never opened it.
Dell and HP business ones, the Optiplexes, they're
Really? I don't know, I kind of like those. The thing I love about Dells, and if you've ever worked with these, you'll know what I'm talking about. Everything in Dells snaps together. So they have tabs for everything. So they slide out, they slide in, click. A lot of the older stuff didn't have that. You'd screw everything in. So most of the newer stuff, that's for you.
Windows for work groups.
Yeah.
I used to install that.
Yeah, this is a shorter chapter, though. I can see why it didn't take as long. I'm just kind of looking for things that I might have not included. The tests that I made up are not the same that are in the book. I know, you had hope. What fun would it be if you could just easily look up the answers?
Yeah, to give them right there.
Well, hence the, well, yeah, when I first took it too, I had to, like, have a piece of paper ready so that I could cover it up before I would see it. Because they put them on the same page as the last question. I guess to save paper, but it makes it hard not to see the answers. You just can't help yourself. Another thing I didn't include is on page 11. It goes over like how much experience they recommend having in order to be experienced in it.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't include it because it seemed like something that could easily be glanced over later. The exam is expensive if you buy it directly through them. The school has discounted prices on certifications, so if you're ever looking for a certification and you're still going here, look in the bookstore first, see if they have a voucher for it. And they usually do, especially CompTIA and Windows exams, or I should say Microsoft exams and Cisco exams. They usually have discounts on. I don't know what VMware ones, but I'm sure they do because they teach the courses that lead to the exams. So, what?
Bookstore?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So another nice thing about this exam is that it's actually really easy. Probably one of the easier ones that I've taken. Primarily because I had the hands-on experience before I tried to learn it. But it's pretty easy to pick up on once you kind of get a feel for the formatting of the book. Once you first start out, you're kind of a little, I don't want to say aimless, but there's a formatting to the book that you'll find, and they'll have gray headings in each chapter, and it'll say 801, 802, and one will say history/conceptual. And the history/conceptual is to assist in learning the next sections, but it's not necessary to understand the content. So it's not necessarily a necessity. You don't need it to understand the content, but it helps. There, close enough. And some of it's actually pretty interesting. But I don't include that on the slides because it takes me long enough to make them. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, like the first page of chapter 3 has it. Page 41 says historical conceptual. And then on 46 it has 801. So as they go through the chapters, it tells you what this part will be, like which part of the exam it'll be on. What does everyone do for a living?
Currently, I go to school.
I love some of their descriptions. A nice glossy monitor.
Yeah, I know, right? Some of it's kind of comical.
No, actually, I'm trained as I started out in IT, then I went into medical equipment repair and did that up until last spring. Now I'm moving back to IT.
What area of IT do you focus in?
Networking.
Networking. Good. Do you have any special areas that you've done before?
No, this is a long time ago, mid-90s. We had,
Okay.
I worked for a couple different PC shops, built them, sold them, did service calls.
Sure.
Did work for ISP, on the help desk. So kind of dabbled in a little bit of all of it.
Interesting.
HIT for local hospitals, so mostly troubleshooting software issues, things like that. Once in a while we get a hardware thing, but usually it's plug it in, turn it on, something basic like that. But usually it's some software, email. They have like a physician's portal that's a nationwide drug monitoring system, so sometimes we have to help with that, or someone forgot their password or something like that. But it's a lot more customer service and not so much computer, so I'm looking to expand out a little bit.
Troubleshooting those cows.
Yeah.
Usually know what I'm referring to because most people don't.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the cow magnets
About the
again.
gateway.
No. Cows, computer on wheels.
Oh, yep, I've heard that. We've got some of those. The EKGs usually go down because they're portable. A lot of the doctors have tablets now, so those get dropped or smashed or coated in blood or something else. And it's then the cows, the computers on wheels. Those the nurses usually have. Wheaton doesn't have the cows. They've actually got the computers built into the walls now throughout the hallway. So then they just have to go to those stations because it was too much of a security risk with them being on wheels because patients would somehow walk out with them. I have no idea how that happened. Well, the tablets I could understand someone walking out with. That's why they were all low-jacked and everything. But
I gotta worry about those coma patients walking out with those cows.
yeah, it looks like just an IV stand. So I guess security didn't notice it being wheeled out the I don't know what happened, but it's mostly software I work on. So
I work as a computer tech. I started out in mainframes, and then after Y2K kind of things sort of settled down, I went into actually our network admin quit, so I assumed the role of exchange administrator and stuff, and been playing with it kind of since then. Over the last couple of years, I've worked for a smaller shop. My wife has gone through a number of healthcare issues as I have over the last couple of years, so it's actually worked good not to be, in a 70-hour-a-week kind of job. So we're coming to an end of that, and I'm looking at doing certifications and doing that kind of stuff. And get a variety everywhere from placing a power supply on a server to changing passwords, which is the nice thing about the shop. But that's also the bad thing about the shop because there's no end to the amount of, just like, let me ask you this, how many tickets do you have open, like at the end of, like how many tickets would you be working on right now that you would have open?
we average 140 to 150 by the end of the week.
That you personally have?
Oh, no, me personally, I think my average for the week has been
Like that you've closed or you have like open? Because these numbers I'm going to tell you are just like astounding. That those
oh,
remind
right
me of
now I
something
have
like it.
18 that are open.
Okay.
But it's just getting started with the week, so that's just from today.
And it goes up and down and stuff, but more likely than not,
yeah.
you're solving almost everyone.
Yeah.
I have 158 tickets open, and I am like the high performer of it. My peer has over 275. At one time, I had 417 tickets open. The top level tech, when I started, had 756. Now is around 450
That they handle by themselves.
that just are open. That like in a month, I'll maybe close 90 tickets, say like 100 tickets. I'll say between the three of us, let's say 150 get closed on average. It's just the overwhelming demand is just unbelievable. There's no way to keep up with that.
Mm-hmm.
At first I was like, yeah, we'll code them, we'll try to do this, we'll try to sort it. No, it's just plug and just, you know what I mean?
Can't you just age some of those out? I mean, if they get to be over 60 days or something, it's surely it's probably a duplicate at that point.
To be honest with you, at the beginning there were some of that,
Yeah.
but I will honestly say that almost
These are all fairly
Yeah.
new, huh?
many of the old ones will come in, as you're saying, as another new one,
Yeah.
and then you'll look, oh, we had this old one, well, we'll just roll it into the new one. But
Right.
the demand is so overwhelming And it's because it's all older stuff too. That's the other thing too. I mean, they're not
Yeah.
replenishing, you know what I mean? So I started 3 years ago. The average age of a PC was probably, 2.5 years or whatever. Well, if nobody replaces anything, they're all just older things. But so it's just,
We flagged the frequent flyers too because they'll open multiple tickets too. It didn't get solved in an hour, so they're pounding in another ticket or something like that. So then we have to keep recycling those tickets too to take our numbers down, because otherwise we'll have, by the end of the day, 20 tickets for one person for the same problem. So
but
we
you're
have that
aware,
work too.
but also you're aware and you're like managing.
We
that,
know
you
the
like,
frequent flyers very well. We flip coins sometimes. Who's going to take this one?
I mean, you gotta kind of laugh, but it's just overwhelming. But it is what it is. In the same sense, it's fun that way. So that's kind of what I play with. Anything from, turning on a switch somewhere to. So I gotta say,
Sounds like you guys are catching up, though. The numbers are going down.
Yeah,
they
7 to 4.
They are going down. But yeah, it's fun. It's like a little hot rod shop. It's like it's just across the board. So
Jack's
Makes
Small
that
trade.
plugging that switch in a nice break. huh?
oh, it was nice. It was nice.
One ticket closed.
There you go. So that's what I do. My wife and I also operate a mobile pet grooming service. So if everybody's interested in pet grooming, that is the little thing that we do on the side.
Let's take care of guinea pigs.
No guinea pigs, no guinea pigs, but labradoodles and stuff like that mixes absolutely.
Curvy old cats.
Cats, we don't. The cats, if they bite, that's the only downside.
He doesn't bite, but he does scratch.
That's so no cats. And Andrew, what about you? What do you teach this class?
Yeah, so I teach this, and my other position is working the student center over there. And I should be starting a position at the Target Distribution Center in Oconomowoc pretty soon, doing 24-hour weekend shift.
No, that's where you're starting. That's cool.
Got to get some income here. Before that, I worked at C. Johnson, and that's probably the greatest company I've ever worked at. And to be fully honest, it's a really great place. Almost everyone there is really happy to be there every day, and it's just a really great environment to work in.
Is that the one downtown Milwaukee?
No, Racine.
In Racine, okay.
There's
I'm thinking of Johnson and
maybe JCI.
Johnson Controls.
Johnson Controls. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
So, okay. Actually, I did work at. I did a Y2K project at. What's the one that's their sporting one that has like all the sporting goods ones? It's actually in Racine. Johnson Worldwide or something. It's like Mercury.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Because they had super deals on fishing lures. Like they would do these sales. And I just remember. Maybe it was Sturtevant, I think. But nonetheless, so Johnson, SC Johnson was your favorite
Yeah.
company? Okay.
Yes, hands down, that place is really great. Company before that, so I did help desk at SC. Company before that, I worked at a company called Zymox, and they were a membrane switch and a printed electronics manufacturer and company, and I was the IT department there. I was literally the only one there. Managed the 100-person company. It was crazy.
I feel like they're hiring somebody in IT right now.
I had a supervisor that did like the major choices above me. So it wasn't the only one, but he was over like 3 departments. So he was swamped all the time. So it was basically me.
Mm-hmm.
They keep making these really cool products that I just really, really love learning about. The most recent ones are flexible batteries, and they're made by Enfusel. So they're actually pliable. You can bend them in your hand. They also put them in a special golf club, and it tracks your hitting style and how accurate you're hitting. So you put it on the face of your club, and then every time you hit a ball, it calculates how accurate you're hitting it. The other one that took them about 6 months to develop, and I don't know if they've actually released it yet, but it's a flexible touch screen. So they were planning to use it with like airport kiosks. So they have like basically curved screens. And at first when they were making them, they had square grids, almost like graph paper. And after they kept developing them and putting them in different solvents, they eventually got the grid away, and now it's just, see right through it. It's thinner than a piece of paper. I mean, you'd scratch it with your fingernail. So they obviously, in the final product, they obviously put protective layers over it, but when they're making it, it's really delicate gloves, because you oil it on your hand, screws it up too. Very interesting stuff there.
All that newer technology is probably not on the exam, though.
Oh, of course not.
That'd be cool to play with, though.
Part of me still wishes I worked there. There was some cool stuff there. Plus I got some free memory switches out of it.
To play with it before anyone else, that in itself would be a great bonus to have.
Well, most of it wasn't for exciting industries, so it wasn't that great. But some of it was pretty interesting. They make membrane switches for like hospital beds, so the buttons on the side of the beds that make it tilt, not the remote. The buttons on the side for Hillrom is the company. Another one is gas pumps. So when you have those keypads that you push in, you'll see gas pumps that'll say Gilbarco on it. They're the actual manufacturer. They're a pain in the butt. They're that company, you hear their name and you're like, ugh. You start a sentence like, so I have this issue with Gilbarco, and the person that you're talking to goes, ugh, before you even finish your thought. You have certain people at work where you're talking to your super and you're like, so this person, okay, what now? Stuff like that. It's just the way different companies handled their shipping process and the way they tracked everything was completely different from everyone else. So you had to go through a specific procedure to stay in business with them.
Yeah. Job security for us.
There you go. I mean, yeah, I complain about it, but that's exactly what it is. It's job security. There's no doubt. You don't have to manufacture problems. That's for sure. You know what I mean? Although I have been in jobs where it just, after like 3 or 4 times where this just absolutely remote, odd problem happens and the person just is there to solve it, you're like, really? So somebody switched this somehow, we don't know.
Yeah.
After like 3 or 4 times,
Doesn't
you're
happen
like,
by
okay,
itself.
Is that right? But in the same sense.
So you're pretty active with the school then? Are you in that big club?
Yeah, I'm in the cybersecurity club as well.
How's that? That looks pretty interesting and stuff.
Oh, it's great.
Is it really?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that nice, huh?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a lot of fun.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You in it? No, I haven't been at it as much as I have been in the past. I've been a lot more busy with between this and that.
Looking forward to NCO coming up.
So you sign up? Good. It's a really great competition.
So you go and compete against other schools and stuff?
This is all done. NCO, you just do from home.
Well, we used to do it here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we used to do it here. But a lot of people started cheating. Not us. Other people did. And they track it based upon what IP address the answers are originating from and how close the submission answers are to each other. So we asked them ahead of time for permission to work in the same room. They're like, yeah, okay, that's fine. some point in the middle of the competition, they're like, cheaters! Like, you said, here's the conversation, we have it on record.
In an email.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It says there's one person watching. There's no one subscribed to me. Because I never post anything. It must be the person that didn't come. Anyway.
The cybersecurity
And Mark-
officer for the school.
Mark Krasowski, the guy that
Yep.
does he's a great teacher and whatnot. He's a lot of just fun to go in there with, you know. He does the cybersecurity, so it's always a good time.
I think about every Wednesday we hear about something with the big club.
Yeah, we do.
Pushes that pretty hard.
Kathy Brown. Is her last name Brown? Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to hit up some of those tacos and nachos that we're doing today, but Mark instead.
That's my biggest problem with the club is it's the afternoon and it's like
Yeah.
What's on Fridays?
work.
What time on Fridays?
9 to 1
9 to 1.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's
or 4 to 6 on Mondays. That's just the cybersecurity part of it.
yeah.
The other, the bigger BIT, I don't know, they have varying, I'm not sure exactly.
See, actually, I'd like to get involved in something like that, but it's tough, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Your day is occupied.
I remember last winter when I started out here, I was interested and wasn't able to because of work, but
Actually.
then I lost my job and I was like, hey, that's great.
Now you got
Free time. Where's the
Right.
upside?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Find that silver lining.
Where's the bit meeting, though? I don't see it. Apparently, they don't put them on here.
The NFL
And they
made it, but
wonder-
not it.
I wonder why nobody shows up. NCO registration.
Oh,
due
NC.
to- Yeah. National Cyber League.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So like what typically is it? Are you guys trying to do like penetration testing? What is it that you guys are
I'll show you.
you're trying to defend against things?
Well,
Like is the contest against other schools?
depends on which, like NCL. Well, I think you've actually done it before, haven't you, Andrew?
Yeah, I've done it every
I
year.
haven't done NCL before.
Come on, load. Please. The one time I need you.
Like each week, Mark will pick a topic. Sometimes it's reconnaissance or penetration, or this coming up, we're doing cryptography. But he picks a topic and we kind of go into it and do some practice.
Are you actually trying to hack into other businesses or
Not an NCL.
No,
No?
no. We'll set up some VMs or whatnot, and we'll try and hack those.
Okay.
That's what we were doing today, earlier this evening.
Okay.
Find their weak point and get up in it.
Where is there? What does this button do? Aha, this is what I want. Where is the link? Yeah, I was literally just there. Let me try it in. But this whole dual screen thing is messing with me. Firefox, that'll work great. Please don't make me revert to IE.
Andrew, if we're done with the A+, I've got to take it off.
We are.
Okay.
We are.
I would love to hang
Yes.
out on thread space. It's a lot of fun, but we've got too much homework to do.
I understand.
But thanks a lot, Andrew.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
You have a great
Take
night.
care.
We'll
Great
see you
meeting
next Monday.
See ya.
Nice to
You
meet
bet.
Yep.
You bet.
Anything else people want to know about?
Well, like, what did you use to prepare for the test and stuff like that? Getting back to the A+ test, this book?
Yes. Just go through the book.
Is there like there's the practice questions and the CD, is there like something, is there something online that I could subscribe to? Like, did you use anything like that, like Measure Up or anything like that? No, you just, you know what, I could just put this on.
I just went through the book and did the exams at the end of each chapter, and I did the exam on the disc probably about 2-3 times.
And once you did that, then you scheduled the test. Did you take the test here and stuff?
No, I took it at MATC because they didn't have it here, and they just opened a test center in the A building. I don't know if they support the A+ certification, but on CompTIA's site, they have a page that basically tells you where you can get tested.
Okay.
So CompTIA,
You've got to be able to get tested here. They must have, even though they moved the testing center and stuff, although I was
Yeah, they
surprised.
just took the Omnitech lab for that, so they must have it in there somewhere.
I wouldn't have to think so, but every once in a while you're surprised too, you know what I mean?
It's such a huge space that they took for
yeah. Anyone know what they're doing with it?
the Omnitech lab. It's going to be the testing center, and then the computer support is going to be, according to Patty at least, she said that it's going to be in the library. And so they basically went from whatever it was, 200 computers to 20.
Okay.
So a lot of the departments
It looks
have,
like it is supported now.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, MATC. That was the closest because WCTC didn't support it for
Something
me.
like that. YMCA.
Yeah.
Well, then, there we go.
I don't think you can focus very well there.
Yeah, I don't know how you could. They must have a lab of some kind to
So at
support
least
it.
it's here now. So maybe the
Yeah.
bookstore will have a
That's
discount
nice.
for it.
They might have the voucher on their site. That is the one nice thing about the bookstores. You can sometimes look up what you're looking for before you go there. If you're like at home or something and you want to see if they have it.
I've never tried that before.
That does look pretty nice. I always just go there too. I have called a couple times and left a message or shot an email too. I want to say his name is Todd, but I don't know.
I don't think they have it on here. Okay. Oh well, not a big deal. You can just run over there real quick and ask.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they have them behind the counter or whatever. Anyway, I guess if no one else has any questions, we can call it.
Cool.
Do we need to sign up for this particular book?
Nope.
No. we're
I'll
good.
note down which one you have, just so when we're fully done, then we know. Okay, it should say on the spine.
4.
So Sarah has
Oh, okay.
4. Okay, you
I
have
get 3,
book
okay.
3, and he had book 1.
Is it Wheaton Franciscan that you work for?
Mm-hmm.
In Glendale?
I take care of St. Joe, Hart, and Elmbrook. Milwaukee, I think Hart is still Milwaukee and Elmbrook is Brookfield.